Fellas, welcome back to the Unspoken. We are discussing a classic today. Now this is a 2004 uh, film starring Don Cheadle. We get appearances by Joaquin Phoenix. We get appearances by the legendary Nick Nolte. Um, we're getting a film based on a true story of a gentleman named Paul Rusesabagina. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name, so I apologize. But Paul is a hotelier in the African country of Rwanda during the 1994 genocide. And so today we're discussing Hotel Rwanda. Adrian, off the top of this, before we go too deep, and I got to give you your data. I know you're really particular about
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I got you. $17.5 million spent on the budget for this film. The box office brought in $339 million. Let's talk about some of the awards here. Don Cheadle won the Academy Award. Actually, he got the nomination for Best Actor in Hotel Rwanda. Mo, off the top of your head, tell me who beat him out for the award that year.
Oh, jeez, that I don't know.
Yeah.
What year was it?
Well, this was 04. 05, pardon me, 05. Because the film came out in December of 04.
No idea who that would have been.
Yeah, it would be Jamie Foxx and Ray. Which deserving, so obviously.
Oh, that.
Yeah, but it tells you how great of a performance Don Cheadle had to even kind of be in that situation. Sophia Okonedo was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. She lost out to Kate Blanchett in Aviator in that same year. And then this was also nominated for Best Screenplay by the Academy Awards. It lost out to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So this movie is in rare air. So it's nominated with some of the best movies we've probably ever seen. Mo, let's start it off right at the top. So this is based on a true story. Here's the thing: sometimes when you have films like this, where they're really given by the account of an individual in a story, giving their perspective of something that's happened, sometimes these stories can grow and be bigger than what the truth might really be at the time. Right?
And yes, I'm glad you're going that route because I've seen this movie so many times. So many times I've seen this movie. I've been telling people to go see it for years. But I actually did some more research on it. I've actually heard some bad stuff about the main character Paul. Like that allegedly they were saying that he was actually kicking people out who couldn't pay for the hotel stay. He was actually this is all allegedly. He was giving out names to the radio stations of certain people, of certain Tutsi people and everything like that. And I was like, really? Because they don't touch on any of that in the movie because they didn't want to take away from him looking like a hero in the movie.
Right.
But it's like when you look at all history, and even when they do the movies and somebody look great, but if you look at real history, the lines are blurry a lot of times. Always a blurry line. So you never really know what the truth is,
And in history, in any story in history, heroes are defined by the storyteller, not necessarily by the truth.
Yeah.
And so this might just be in one of those cases. Listen, as far as an art piece, because we're going to discuss the artwork of Hotel Rwanda, right? Don Cheadle gives you an incredible performance. Right? Sophia Okonedo, his wife, gives you an incredible performance.
Yes.
Joaquin Phoenix, he gave you a good performance. It wasn't anything special.
Right. I mean, I don't think it was his role to.
It wasn't.
It out.
Yeah, they didn't
It
ask him
wasn't.
to do. They didn't ask him to
No.
carry the movie or bring this home or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
I think with to add to the point we mentioned with Don Cheadle, watching this film, it jumped out to me right away. He's in every possible scene. He's in every single scene. So he was asked to do a lot of heavy lifting in this movie. That's again one of the reasons why he's nominated for an Oscar. And I started having a conversation about films like we talk about a mark of a great actor is being able to carry a film, sometimes to carry a scene, but really a film without having someone else there. But we always talk about Tom Hanks and Cast Away. And then to a different extent, Will Smith and I Am Legend. Again, to a lesser extent because he still has characters he's playing with. But with Don Cheadle in this movie, he had great supporting actors and actresses to work with. We mentioned the woman who played his wife being nominated as well. But I just got the feeling in this movie that he's doing a lot of heavy lifting in this movie because he's in every scene. He's being asked to act like really bring his A game in every scene. And then there's that scene where he finally breaks down. It was like that was the first time you saw him have a crack in the armor, so to speak.
The armor, yeah.
And that he broke down in that scene where he's locking the door, telling him not to come in because he's having a moment that he's in tears.
Yeah.
That scene right there was like, okay, that got to show you. We all talk about different character development. That got to show you the levels of the character. So he did a phenomenal job in this film, I felt.
This is not a story, Moan, about the Rwandan massacres. And I think while it touches on it, this is not that movie. This is really a movie about a man trying to save his family from a wild situation.
Save his family and save his friends. Yep.
Mm-hmm. This to me is not as dynamic as say Blood Diamonds. Mm-hmm. Because Blood Diamonds gave you both conflicts paralleling with each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't get that from Hotel Rwanda. I get more of Paul's story being played by Don Cheadle and the decisions he's making for his wife and that kind of stuff. And then essentially his neighborhood and community, right? Because they all latched onto him. And him trying to I don't get much of, or at least as much as I wanted to, of the Rwandan massacre. Do you?
I want to disagree with you just a little bit. There's three scenes that made me like my heart break, and it made me really feel for the storyline. It made me really feel for the Tutsi people at that time. The first one is when Joaquin Phoenix came with the camera and he played the tape of what's happening out there for him. Right? That made it real. I mean, even made it real for for Paul, the character Paul. I made it real for him at that moment. The second time is when he went to go get some supplies, and they had the naked ladies in there in the cage. That made it real. Like you could see what's happening there. Like you could see like the whole thing has just fallen apart. And then when he sent them the back way, he was like, "Go this way. It's nice and clear." And they were driving all over these bumps, what they thought was bumps. And it was the truck turning. He was like, "Stop! You hit something! Stop the truck!" And get out. The fog starts to clear. He's looking down the road, and all he sees, as far as his eyes can go, all he sees is bodies. Bodies on top of bodies on top of bodies on top of bodies. That made it real to me.
To me, that scene you're describing right now was the scene that was the runaway scene of the movie, if you ask me. Because there were gunfights, there was explosions, there was all this action scenes that happened. But I don't think anything hit home more than seeing like two guys driving down the empty road, the foggy road, and so you drove off the road because of you hit on these bumps. But to see all those bodies that are laid out, how coldly, like how cold-hearted you would have to be to do something like that. And in the scene before that, I kind of set the scene up when he said to him, you know, you can't kill all of them. And he's like, why not? Like we're halfway there, and that was to have that scene precede the scene we're talking about with the bodies. That was a home run for me as far as setting that up.
See, and I slightly disagree with you, Dre. And I hear what you're saying because that was a powerful scene. But I think for me, because I took this vision of this movie in a totally different direction than you guys did. Again, for me, it was about Paul and his family, right? So the scene that stuck out to me was when Paul put his wife on the truck.
Ooh.
You guys go. I'm going to stay here with them. And the minute the wife realizes that Paul is not there, the look on her face, what's happening? Why are you not here? No, get up here. Like that was incredible to me. Again, we're talking about the artwork of this film now.
Yeah.
The way those images were shot, incredible work.
Can I add one more thing to that? And is more of the conversation as well. And this is what one of the two scenes that stuck out to me with the you may want to say her name again. I can't remember the actress played wife's name.
Sophia Okonedo.
So Sophia, the scene.
Sophie, pardon me.
Sophie. So the scene that when they're on the roof having their little romantic dinner, and he asked her to not let his children be killed by the machete, but to kill herself and the children by jumping off the building. And you felt for him in that scene. You felt for her in that scene because it was like you put yourself in that position and it was like, man, you want to save your kids that pain and suffering, by having them just be killed by jump off the building, have just die quick. That scene, that conversation right there was that felt real to me. That took me somewhere.
And here's how you know that feeling that you had was validated, because later in the film, he runs up to the roof.
Yes.
After remembering, oh shit, I told her to run to the roof in case something goes on. Yeah. He looks over the side and he sees a family in the grass. That's the payoff of that scene, right? Yeah. You're like, did they jump? Yeah. This is crazy.
I thought they had. I thought
when I first seen that, I thought that's the route the movie was going. But then I want to add something real quick. Go back to when he put his wife in the truck and let her leave. My favorite part of that is when she came back and she was like, "You don't love me. Take this ring. You don't love me. You don't love me." Oh, that right there, that whole scene right there. I was like, "Oh, that's that kind of love I want." There. Love me. You're like, you don't love me.
The ring back. The ring back. So she had two scenes. She had two scenes that I felt were stuck out to me. Sorry, I interrupt you.
Yep.
There were two scenes. So that scene, on top of the roof, they had a conversation, and that scene talked about when she came back and threw the ring. She had a look of anger, disgust on her face.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that is some supreme acting right there,
and that's why you get nominated for an Oscar. That's the reason why you're in that conversation. Those two scenes that we're talking about. We're talking about an important scene here, because I want to ask you guys, like, do you believe that Paul did the right thing there?
Yeah, I do. I do.
And he's staying back, or what do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, the combination of him staying back, yes, but him putting a wife to go.
I think.
There's really two different things that are happening there at the same time.
If they wasn't for the snitch, they would have made it out. And I think that was the best thing. He wanted to get them out, and he had to stay because he was the one making all the moves for people to survive. If that's not what happened, he was the one making the play for them to survive. So if he left there, everyone that was still there, dead.
So for me, right, that scene, when I saw that scene, it made me think of one thing. And as a kid, right, there was one person that I considered the greatest hero above all the heroes, and that was Optimus Prime. and in that moment, Paul became Optimus Prime to me, because he's willing to give up what he wanted most in his family and go back and do the right thing to help out the people who had been following him up to that point. He felt like he owed them that much to be there and continue to lead them. And I was like, that was Optimus Prime level heroics right there.
So let's talk about that for a little bit. You said people who were following him, but if you go back to the maybe 20 minutes before all this had happened, he was going home from work, right? Like any one of us would. He gets home from work and his wife got the whole neighborhood in the house.
The whole neighborhood.
Hey man.
The whole neighborhood.
Hey man, what's going on here, man? I just wanted a steak and some movies. I didn't come home to all of this. And so he was pushed into a role of help us. He wasn't a hero. He didn't have a cape in the closet.
Isn't that how all the great leaders?
Exactly.
A lot of the great leaders are pushed into the role. They don't come up and be like, I'm taking over this. They're forced to be a part of this role.
Heroes and leaders, they're not always necessarily born. Sometimes they're made, and sometimes they're called upon. He was called upon to be the hero at that time, be the leader. Yeah. He stepped up to the plate, reluctantly at first, but he stepped up to the plate.
Yes,
I think it's luck that he wasn't murdered the minute he gave that guy the $100,000. Are you kidding me? Like you gave me the $100,000. What else are you going to give me? Like, why can't let people go?
So I would agree with you, but he kept doing it, bro. It wasn't just that one scenario.
Yeah.
He did it again. And then he did it again. At some point, you got to say it's not luck. He's just a clever guy.
When Nick Nolte was talking to him in that bar, he pointed out that, Paul, you're the smartest person here. You could own this hotel, right? And throughout the movie, you got to see how smart Paul really was.
Yeah,
because he was able to understand human nature, being in the role he had been in the hotel, being that hospitality guy. He understood human nature. He understood people wanted to feel special. He understood how to play on their vanity or their weakness or whatever he needed to play on at that time. And in that scene where the hotel worker, the snitch, was acting up, he knew it wasn't his personality to go up to this guy and check him, right? So what did he do? He talked the general into going up to it and doing it for him. Yeah. So again, he understanding people, understanding how to kind of play, how to play him a little bit. That was his strength. He brought that up. He used it when it was time to be used.
Hilarious how. Go ahead, Mo.
He did that like 3 times to the general. That time, even when he was talking about the satellites, they got satellites.
Yeah.
They know. They know. You're a war criminal. They know. And I'm not going to help you. So there were multiple times where he played the smart card.
It's hilarious how that employee bullied the presidential suite.
Yeah.
Like, so during all of this going on, his objective was to get into the presidential suite. Like, there's a lot happening out here right now.
But he was hoopsy, so he didn't care. Remember that, because he was ready to kill everybody anyway. He was like, "I know. I'll tell him about all these Tutsi people you're trying to hide."
Well, that plus when he went to talk to him at the door of the presidential suite, he was hinting without saying it that he knew Paul's wife was Tutsi.
Yeah.
And that he was going to snitch and let them know that she was. Mm. So that right there just shows. I mean, was he the villain? He was a villain, but it just shows right there, that kind of he's kind of a scummy guy.
There's so many villains in this.
I want to talk about another villain, and I'll throw it back to you, Mo.
All right.
Just because this was a nice segue for me, but we're talking about villains, and Nick Nolte went from UN guy, I get it, he's trying to help her do his thing. He switched to villain in one sentence, in one scene, right? Where he just goes on his tangent. Pardon me, Unspoken viewers. Adrian, this is where you would stop me if I'm going to trample onto
No,
your
no,
quote
you're
of
good.
the
You're good.
movie.
You're good. You're good.
Nick Nolte says, "You're not even black. You're African." And I said, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah. But
He quickly transformed it. I guess I'm trying to figure out, was he giving a speech from the American perspective or from the perspective of the people who are making the decisions over him? Belgians in that case, maybe, whatever the case may be. The French, American. I don't know who they were saying.
Not American. Because remember, he's a part of, I believe, he was part of NATO, right?
Yeah, he was part of the UN, and the flag was Canadian.
On his patch, he had the Canadian flag.
Yeah.
He's given the viewpoint of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody outside of Africa. That's the viewpoint that he's given. And I don't know if he's a villain for that or if he's trying to give you a wake-up call. Like, wake up. Like, wake up. They're not going to come for you. They don't want to help you.
And to jump on that real quick, so Mo's 100% right. That's what I got to from that scene as well, was that he liked Paul. He was just complimenting Paul about how great Paul was. He told Paul, "You should spit in my face right now because I couldn't save you because they don't look at you as even a lowly was a Black American. They look at you as less than that. You're African. You mean nothing to them. Like so that's where I felt it was going. Well with that. So yeah.
That was one of you talk about some heartbreaking scenes in this movie. Another one that we haven't mentioned yet is when they're peeling the African children off of the priest the pastor that was there, and the nuns, all of those people who were getting on the bus to be taken to safety, and they're literally pulling children out of their arms, crying, and we have the realization that, hey, they're more important than we are here. Touching scene.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. But that again, to me, that showed the story of what's happening out on the outside. What was happening on the outside. Now let me point out a little fun fact. So if you remember, there was like some TV scenes where they were talking about the president. He was making an agreement, like it was on the TV. And he was making an agreement with the rebels or whatever it was.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it's RPF. And then they showed another scene of the rebel leader. That rebel leader was the actual rebel leader.
Oh.
Who is actually the current president of Rwanda.
Interesting.
And when I watched it again recently, I was like, oh, he's the president of Rwanda. He's been like the president since I think 2000 or something like that.
Wow.
He completely changed Rwanda. Rwanda right now is they're trying to go, they're going to be one of the first African countries to go into the game of creating a whole section just for AI and bringing that into Africa. And they're not opening it up for themselves. They're opening it up for everybody to take part. Rwanda is one of those cities that's trying to take the path of like Singapore. So they're trying to be like the Singapore of Africa. Like they're giving into the technology and everything like that. It's totally changed. It's amazing now.
I think this opens up the discussion of the view that we have towards some of these rebel leaders, right? And towards some of these individuals or groups who they have a vision for what their country should be.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And maybe they're militant and they're trying to get across that message. Maybe they're militant and trying to set up that establishment.
Yeah.
But there's a discussion there about, well, but do they have the greater good of the people in their minds? And I think sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do.
And so the people in the way are just, hey man, if you're not with us, you're against us. You're slowing down what we're trying to develop. Mm-hmm. And in the case that you're describing with Rwanda, we're trying to be space age, man. We're trying to be greater than just sharecroppers and and farmers. We want more. And
more.
You're happy with that, but we're not. We don't want that. We want to develop AI 20 years from now.
Yeah.
We want to be the next Singapore in 40 years. But your presence and your muted stance on this is slowing us down. Maybe there's a discussion for that.
I think in this film it touched on it a little bit, and also in Blood Diamond it touched on it a little bit. But when it comes to these geopolitical issues, there's always well, at least a minimum two sides, right? And we as the viewers get to see only what that person, that filmmaker or that newscaster puts forward. So I don't know if these people are bad people or they're good people, or there's some bad things happening. I know that all across the world, and Africa's no different. Yeah. But I like to see when a film gives you some background to it. Like Last King of Scotland, I thought that was an interesting way of showing.
Yeah, that's another movie we gotta do.
Yeah, interesting of showing, like, how this person, a villain is a movie character, but bad people in real life, they may have some qualities that make them charming or charismatic. But at the end of the day, they're still bad people. So I think I like to see a film where that kind of comes across. This movie did it didn't really touch on that type of layer as far as I know we have to question is who's right and who's wrong, because we kind of knew who the hero was the whole time. So that's just my spin on a movie like that.
Yeah. I think there is always going to be a discussion of people who are doing wrong for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Right. And then conversely, people who are doing right for the wrong reasons. Right. There's that dichotomy there, and I'd love to come across a movie that delves into that.
Yeah. So tell the fans, if they got one for us to watch that kind of shows that. Go ahead, put it in the comments.
100%.
Oh, I want to see it.
We're here for that. In the meantime, we have come upon our one of our favorite segments of the show, which is the Springer quote of the movie. So talk to us, Adrian.
All right. So this one's a kind of a lengthier quote here, but this scene I felt was when Paul had his blinders taken off, and he said this. They told me I was one of them, and the wine, chocolates, cigars, style, I swallowed it all. I swallowed it. I swallowed all of it. And they handed me their stuff. I have no history. I have no memory. I am a fool, Tati. That scene right there, when he told his wife that, because to that point, watching that film, I said, even when the neighbors came over to the house, he was like, "Why are they all here?" They said this is what's happening. They're assassinating the president. Paul's like, "No, this isn't real. This isn't really happening."
Yeah.
But once they hit him that this was real, and he had this conversation with his wife, that scene, I thought that line encapsulated that part of it, which was honestly my favorite part of this film. Was when his eyes got open and he decided, like, yes, I need to do more.
Yeah. I have to say, it's crazy that another thing, real quick, remember his brother-in-law came and was telling them that this was going to take place. He giving a warning. He was saying they're going to say cut the tall trees down, and he was like, no, don't even worry about it. Don't worry. And now we know that he went back. They never found his brother-in-law or the brother-in-law wife. They both was missing, even though they found his two nieces. But they was gone. He could have saved them. Like, all right, let's go. Get your family now. Come back to my house. Let's just think about this and see what's going on. Right. But he was so in his own little world, like this ain't gonna happen. He could have saved another life.
You blame him for the death?
Yeah, I do. I personally do. But it's tough. It's tough because if we're having a sit down talk, you know, and we're talking, you telling me this, you know, maybe I'll say yeah, no, but it was just you can see the signs. But maybe it's because I'm watching a movie and I can see all the signs. You know, maybe those ain't signs to him. So I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's just Tuesday in their world.
In their world, yeah, exactly.
For us, you know, we see all the things that's bubbling around it to then help make that decision. Incredible.
Can't see the forest through the trees, right?
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Moan, let's get to the point of the show. The Unspoken series, we're still on the search for a classic. We use a 1 to 5 star system here in our scoring. We have yet to find that. Hopefully today's the day. Lamone, what's your grade for Hotel Rwanda?
I'm giving this one a 5. This is one of those movies that when I first seen it, I was like, yo, this is a great movie. The acting's amazing. The storyline, to me, it's really compelling. So much so that it made me go read up about what Rwanda's currently doing. You know what I mean? I want to see where they was, what they're doing now. I think this movie was one of those movies where it has the acting, it has the storyline, and it has it all for me. So I give it a 5.
Adrian Springer, 1 through 5, Hotel Rwanda.
So this film, it was one of those films where there weren't a lot of big name actors. Outside of Don Cheadle and Nolte and Joaquin Phoenix, you know, for a cast this big, there weren't a lot of actors whose name I knew coming into the film, but they won me over. Like the supporting cast won me over. They were cast beautifully and flawlessly, I thought. And Cheadle, like I said, Cheadle's performance in this movie was so strong that again, he carried. He was a star in every scene he was in. So for me, I had to give this movie a 5. I had to give it a 5.
I think we're talking about a film being able to paint the picture of what's happening in Rwanda at the time. We talked about the bodies being strewn, the refugees, the villains in it. We talk about the layers of Nick Nolte's character with the UN and they're trying to help people and not being able to. We talk about Joaquin Phoenix and the relationship he had with the girl and the small storyline there of, hey, we have something happening, but I can't help you. Here's money. Money's no good now. We talk about the commander throwing money on the ground. This money is useless. There's so many things happening in this movie that build towards a classic. Don Cheadle's giving you Oscar-winning performances here. You're getting an Oscar-nominated supporting actress right next to him. The storyline's based on a true story, and they do a great job of building it.
Yeah.
This movie's a 5.
Mo, you're supposed to be non-biased, Mo.
Huh?
You're supposed to be non-biased.
Oh, that's our first one, man.
The very first classic stamp of approval by the Unspoken review here.
If Paul's out here, he would have ruined it.
Definitely hit us in the comments. Let us know what you think about Hotel Rwanda. And also let us know if you got some other movies that you want us to take a look at here in the near future as we continue to build our library. Until the next time, this is your boy Charles Jones, aka Charlie Russell.
Supermoon.
Adrian, aka Mr. Cinema.
We have a classic in Hotel Rwanda.
Yeah, boy.